Flavio Bolsonaro complains about the leak of invoices issued by a company linked to Vorcaro. No one could ever claim that this is an illegal breach of confidentiality. He is not concerned about the substance of the matter. He is worried because it leaked. He is not worried that the company is a shell company. He is not worried about where the 11 million that went to the front company came from or where that money went afterwards. He is not worried about the invoices he issued to this company. He is not worried about Daniel Vorcaro's mafia. He is worried because this leaked. No, Flavio, guys, it's so shameless. It's really disgraceful. Don't you think so? For God's sake. Meanwhile, look here. A neo-Nazi group was planning to blow up the Planalto Palace with Lula inside. The civil police of the Federal District and the Ministry of Justice dismantled it. Dismantled a cell that was exchanging explosive manuals and blueprints of public buildings through Telegram. And from what the police managed to find during searches and seizures, some situations already, at first. In fact, they were planning to blow up the palace with Lula inside. And this started in the runoff. Look how crazy that is. It's Bolsonarism, guys. Bolsonarism does this to people. It makes people weak-minded, or it brings out the worst in them. I always say, in my opinion, you need to have people around you who bring out the best in you, because people who bring out the worst in you, you end up acting like an animal. Yeah. So like Bolsonarism brings out the worst in people. That's why we have to vote. We have to stand with the one who will be the best president for Brazil. And who is that? Lula. Flavio Bolsonaro, guys, for God's sake. For God's sake, Flavio Bolsonaro put up Lula 13 in the first round. And yesterday there were several debates, right? All around Brazil. And Sergio Moro ran away from the debate, guys. Sergio Moro confirmed that he was going to participate in the debate there in the state of Paraná, and he simply didn't show up for the debate, Sergio Moro. There he goes again, chickening out. Sergio Moro running away from the fight. Look here, guys, what a shameful thing. He chickened out. Sergio Moro cancels his attendance at the first debate with candidates for governor of Paraná. Put it there, Sergio Moro, coward. He's already running away right at the start. Just think about the situation. What's this, huh? There's no defending that. Meanwhile, a new poll came out. Shall we check the poll here? Next is BTG. Lula has 40 and Flavio has 35 in the first round. In this poll, Lula wins in the first and second rounds. Then the people from the market, who are desperate for Lula to lose, say that Lula ties in the second round. But if you look, it's a statistical tie, but Lula is ahead of everyone. Now, it's interesting that Lula went up in this poll because in the previous poll, Lula was lower. Yes. Flavio was a little higher. Not higher than Lula, right? I'm talking proportionally. But in this poll, Lula went up just a little compared to the previous poll. A poll that, by the way, is paid for. This one is paid for by the market, right? Got the code. Smash that like button, guys. Let's see here. Lula widens his lead over Flavio Bolsonaro in the first and second rounds, says BTG Nexus. The survey shows that, despite a tight race in the second round, the president pulls even further ahead. But several websites don't show this. They put out a headline as if Lula were dropping. That's interesting, isn't it, guys? But that's not the case. If we compare it with the previous Nexus poll, we'll see that Lula went up. But they don't mention that, do they? But here we do. Look here so you can see how it was, how it went, and how it is now. The survey also shows a favorable shift for Lula compared to the previous poll in last week's round. In the previous one, the PT candidate had 46%. In the one before that, Lula had 46 in the previous BTG Nexus poll. Paid for by the market, I reiterate. In this one, he already came in with 47%. And while Flavio Bolsonaro recorded 45%, and in today's poll, he went to 44%. So Lula increases his lead over Flavio Bolsonaro in the first round and the runoff, according to the second BTG Nexus Intel poll. Nexus. But they're not showing that. For you to know if the poll is positive or not for X, for so-and-so, for whoever, you have to look at the previous poll. And as I showed here in the previous BTG Nexus poll, Lula was 1 point below where he is now. He had 44 and now he went up to 45%. Flavio Bolsonaro had 40 and here it is. Look, let's check it again here. Flavio had 40, and then good grief, are you crazy? In last week's round, the Batista had 46%, now he has 47%, and Flavio had 45%, and now Flavio has 44%. So Lula gained a point and Flavio lost a point. Okay, now that's not the headline you're going to see, right? The headline you're going to see is that Flavio is rising, that Flavio is tied, because Flavio this and that, and Flavio this and that, and Flavio. They want you to believe that it's not worth voting for Lula. Did you understand? But we have to get involved so that Lula wins in the first round. If not, we're screwed. Screwed. You're already getting the idea, right? That's it. Lula leads in 12 states, Flavio in 7. The map of Brazil shows what the polls indicate about the presidential race in the states. Look here, Lula. In all these red states here, Lula is leading in the polls. All of them. All these states. That is, in 12 states, Lula is leading. In 7 states, Flávio Bolsonaro is leading. And here in Goiás, Caiado is leading. Caiado was right, governor of Goiás. So he's leading in Goiás. He takes votes from Flávio. In the state of Goiás, Flávio Bolsonaro. Guys, I'm sorry, I have a cold. So sometimes my voice gets a little rough, but I'm here to talk with you, for us to resist and to be together. Like, comment and share, okay? I was forbidden from doing live streams. So like, comment and share, and let's engage even more, okay? So this is the situation here. Look. Lula has the support. He has and wins in 12 states. Flavio in 7. Caiado wins in Goiás. Okay? And São Paulo is statistically tied. Rio de Janeiro, Espírito Santo, and Tocantins. Those are the statistical ties. And here in Alagoas, there was no poll, no recent poll. It's very interesting. Guys, look here. São Paulo is very important and it's statistically tied, okay? Rio de Janeiro is statistically tied and Espírito Santo is too. Interesting, right? Tocantins is also statistically tied. And in Goiás, in the center of Brazil, Ronaldo Caiado is taking votes from Flavio Bolsonaro. Very interesting, right? And speaking of São Paulo, yesterday there was the main debate, right? And I watched the debate here with you all. I even started streaming part of it, and then the live stream went down. Let me tell you something. Tarcísio lied a lot. Lied a lot. Tarcísio said that femicide decreased in São Paulo. That's a lie. Femicide actually increased. Tarcísio said that rape cases had decreased. That's a lie. Rape cases actually increased in São Paulo. He said that violence and homicides had decreased. That's a lie. Homicides actually increased in São Paulo. In other words, public security in São Paulo is in total chaos. And Tarcísio, in the debate with Fernando Haddad, lied a lot, you know? He lied a lot about the data. And you can feel the desperation, right? He doesn't want to accept it. Another situation that I think was also an important point that we have to highlight is the issue of privatizations, right? He privatized, and everything he privatized, you yourselves comment here that everything that was privatized got worse. So, like the tolls there that were put in during his administration and those that were, there were increases, there were toll increases, there was privatization, and nothing got better. There was even an explosion of issues there with privatization. So, like Tarcísio, he is weak, and Haddad, he is very well prepared. And so, my perception is that I don't think São Paulo deserves another 4 years under Tarcísio. I think he had his chance and he couldn't handle it. Especially when it comes to privatization, he privatized things and it got worse. And when it comes to public safety, guys, São Paulo is in chaos when it comes to public safety. And Tarcísio has always followed Bolsonaro's lead, shooting, violence, and force, claiming that would solve the problem, and it solved absolutely nothing. Nothing. And I'll repeat, he lied a lot yesterday in the debate, using data that wasn't true, Tarcísio de Freitas, unfortunately. You see? And Haddad did very well. Here, look. And Haddad did very well. Haddad went on the attack and laid out the issues and really presented himself as the most prepared. Or, for example, a situation that I think also deserves to be highlighted. Tarcísio, he's ungrateful. And Lula helped the state of São Paulo, just like he should help all the states in whatever way possible, of course. But Tarcísio doesn't give Lula the credit. You know, he covers it up. Then Haddad threw it in his face. Lula gave an injection of 128 billion reais to the state of São Paulo just to bail out São Paulo. Then Haddad threw that in Tarcísio's face. Is it true or not, Tarcísio? Tarcísio didn't say it was a lie. But he also didn't say it's true. Lula really did it. So on top of everything, he's ungrateful because Bolsonaro left the state of São Paulo with that debt. Bolsonaro stiffed the states on the state fuel tax. The state fuel tax falls under the state's taxing authority. And Bolsonaro, to lower the price of gasoline, of fuel in 2022 because he was desperate, because he was dropping in the polls, he took action. Instead of solving the problem with Petrobras like Lula does, Bolsonaro went there and stiffed the states, taking revenue away from the states. Then Tarcísio stayed silent, very quiet, and kept a low profile. Then when Lula won, Tarcísio was one of the first governors who went to the Supreme Federal Court and said, look, I want to get paid for Lula's supposed default, but it wasn't Lula's fault. It was the default that Bolsonaro left behind. And Caio and Tarcísio talked about it. You know, he tried to hide it, and Fernando Haddad called him out on it. Bolsonaro left you with billions of reais in unpaid debts you ran to the Supreme Federal Court to collect after Bolsonaro lost the elections. And Lula gave you 128 billion reais in funding, and you're ungrateful because you hide that. So that too, man, on top of everything else, Tarcísio de Freitas is ungrateful. He's ungrateful. He hides the schemes and the damage that Bolsonaro caused to São Paulo. That's the truth. And he doesn't mention the help and support that Lula gave to the state of São Paulo. And he lied a lot, really a lot. Meanwhile, look who showed up. Nunes Marques gives in to pressure and defends electronic voting machines, isolating Flavio Bolsonaro's rhetoric. The president of the TSE closed the National Voting System Week. A speech against disinformation amid pressure from STF ministers for the Electoral Court to react to injustices and attacks on the electoral process. He showed up. He showed up, yes. Shall we watch his speech here? Wow, he really has to show up, right? Or are you all going to give in to Flavio Bolsonaro in every situation? Right, André Mendonça? For heaven's sake, folks, shall we listen to what he has to say here? It's important for us to bring up this situation here so everyone can see. Pay attention here. It was even broadcast on TV Brazil and everything. Look here.
For over 3 decades, the Brazilian electronic voting system has consolidated its credibility through technological improvements and oversight and auditing mechanisms, ensuring security and transparency in the electoral process and the results from the voting machines. Discrediting the Brazilian voting system is like uninviting the Brazilian voter from participating in the country's greatest democratic event.
That's right, everyone. So the president of the TSC himself, Nunes Marques, is speaking out, and this isn't the first time he's done so. In favor of the electoral system, in favor of the electoral process, in favor of what is happening, which is honest, and the winner is the one chosen by the people. And why is this important? Because Flavio is calling this into question in some situations and in some of the flirting he's doing with coup supporters to call the electoral process into question. And we know that he does this in many situations, hoping that Donald Trump will intervene in the electoral process. That's it, interfere, right? Anyway. And the situation regarding these Bolsonaro supporters is so serious. Just look at this. Bolsonaro's lawyer, those people over there, yesterday they received some very hot information that the American Delta forces are already in Brazil. Now, seeing this post from an American congressman making a montage of Lula imprisoned like Maduro, it makes even more sense. We don't know when, but it's very possible that Lula will have the same fate as Maduro. It's not hard to believe. This one here is the federal congressman from the Republican Party, right? American congressman from the Republican Party. Then he posted a photo of Lula in a montage with Maduro saying, "What to expect, Brazil?" And Chiquinho, this federal congressman here, or is he tied up? No, Jesus, this is lawyer Chiquinho here. He even made a video, which I'm not going to show here because I'm not going to give him the spotlight in the video, right? He said that Donald Trump already has special military forces in Brazil and that Lula could be arrested by them. And that, according to American law, Donald Trump labeled the PCC and the Comando Vermelho as terrorist groups because according to American law, that gives Americans the power to intervene in the country in question. He is speaking openly. He made it clear that Donald Trump is not interested in fighting the Comando Vermelho, nor the PCC, nor any of that. That he only did this to pressure the government so he could interfere in Brazil because he wants to take our resources. He wants to steal from Brazil just like he is stealing from Venezuela. Venezuela is being robbed during the day, and at night, its gold and oil are being stolen. Venezuela is the country with the largest concentration of oil in the world, and it is being robbed by the United States. And Donald Trump wants to do the same thing with Brazil, and Lula does not accept it. Brazil has water, land, oil, rare earths, the Amazon, and a lot of wealth. And this lawyer made it very clear in his video. And this is what they want: to pressure, to blackmail, to see if Lula gives in. Like Flavio Bolsonaro already gave in, and he's already licking Donald Trump's boots. These people are a disgrace, folks. Traitors to the country, they should answer for treason. This is absurd. And I always tell you, Lula should prepare for the worst, hoping for the best, but he should prepare. He should prepare for everything, and he is ready for anything because these people are dangerous. And whatever they can interfere with, they will interfere and disrupt. Do you understand? So you have to be very careful in this situation. Meanwhile, under pressure, Ramagem tries to explain the photo with William Thomas and Lira in the Grupo Seleto pool. A photo found on Weverton Rocha's cell phone shows the former head of BIM, Arthur Lira, and other politicians at the lawyer's ranch. Look at the photo here. William Thomas is the one in the center of the photo. That's William Thomas. Who is William Thomas, who was visited by the federal police for his involvement in Daniel Vorcaro's mafia? Yes, he's a friend of Flavio Bolsonaro. Flavio Bolsonaro himself said that in live streams, that he's a lawyer, that they're friends. He even went to Florida with Flavio Bolsonaro. They went to casinos there and everything. All of that is documented. So William Thomas, who was visited by the federal police for involvement in a money laundering scheme and everything, is in this photo. Who else is in the picture? With his fist clenched and stiff. Behind him is Elmar Nascimento. Elmar Nascimento is also even more involved than anyone. A member of parliament also under investigation in theft cases. Next to him is Juscelino Filho, who also got a visit from the federal police. He is also there, suspected of being involved in the Banco Master fraud. Sitting on the edge with his hand raised is Everton Rocha. Same story with him too. And Alexandre Ramagem, the fugitive. And in the back, look, there's Arthur Lira and Paulo Aziz, all of them lawmakers. And more than half of the people in this photo are either criminals or are being investigated for the frauds that are happening, INSS fraud and Banco Master fraud. And in the back, there's Arthur Lira, former president of the Chamber of Deputies. There are people Flavio Bolsonaro may have benefited by choosing Alfredo Gaspar as his running mate. What do you mean, Andrea? Alfredo Gaspar, federal deputy, is the one Flavio Bolsonaro chose as the PL's running mate. He was the official candidate already confirmed at the convention for the Senate from Alagoas, and he was going to take votes away from Arthur Lira by effectively becoming as Flavio Bolsonaro's running mate. He stops running for the Senate, benefiting whom? Arthur Lira in Alagoas. Now, I don't doubt it, as I've already told you. I wouldn't be surprised if Flavio Bolsonaro still names a woman by the 15th, and maybe it will be Michelle. Michelle doesn't want to, but I believe Flavio is putting pressure on her in that sense. If he can't actually have Alfredo Gaspar as his vice, who will benefit? The big beneficiary of this won't be Flavio because he already found a running mate. That's shooting yourself in the foot, to say the least. The one who will benefit is Arthur Lira. He's in this picture because he will have his main competitor in Alagoas for the Senate out. And so the votes that were going to him, to Alfredo Gaspar, right wing, far right, will go to Arthur Lira. You get the point, my dear, my dear. Meanwhile, Nicolas Ferreira's declared assets jumped from 36,000 to 3.8 million. Andrea, but this can happen, Andrea. No, it can, right? Now I'm wondering what happened to these people. What, Andrea? Look, here's another case. Look. Derite more than doubled his assets in 4 years. In 2022, he declared 812,000 in assets. This year, the declared amount jumped to 2 million. The increase is approximately 148.66%. In other words, the final amount is about 2.49 times the initial amount. Wow, Andrea. Wasn't Brazil supposed to become Venezuela? Yeah, right. Wasn't Brazil supposed to become Venezuela, guys? Isn't Brazil in crisis? Because that's what they say, that Brazil was going to become Venezuela, that Lula was going to ruin Brazil and all that stuff. And all these people are rich. They used to be poor, now they're all rich. From the start of Lula's term, January 1st, 2023 until now, they're all practically rich now. Look at that, during Lula's government. Wow, I thought Brazil was broke. Was Brazil going to become another Venezuela? And now everything is, look, full of cash. I don't understand anything anymore. Front runner for governor of Acre, the Bolsonaro senator had a 147% increase in assets since the last election. Financial statements show an increase in assets from 2.1 million to 5.2 million, including a luxury car, real estate, and investments. Is this the case for deputies, senators, governors, state deputies? Did all of them increase their assets by millions during Lula's government? Where's Venezuela? You all said Brazil was going to turn into Venezuela. There are some situations, guys, that are just absurd. Make Lula a four-time winner? We are the resistance and we want justice. If we can't do it live, let's record it. And I'm counting on your presence and your engagement like never before. More than ever, I'm part of the resistance. And you? Kisses, thank you so much. We're on top of it. And it's Lula for the fourth time, no matter who it hurts. Kisses, we're in this together always. We are the resistance. Bye-bye.